all suspicions surrounding his claim to prophethood. He could have rebuked him at the time and given him proper answers and told him don't do it again, but he chose not to. And they remained in their cave 300 years and add 9. Say, Allah knows best how long they remained. To him are the unseen things of the heavens and the earth, how clear his sight and how clear his hearing. There is none to be a guardian for them besides him, and he does not make anyone his associate in his judgment. So here it appears we finally get some concrete information. He appears to tell them that the cave dwellers slept in the cave for 309 years. The original legend was 208 years in some cases and 360 in others. The problem is, if we look at the respected exegesis of the Quran such as that of Tabari, we find that what is meant by this is far from clear. In one instance, Tabari claims that another variation of the Quran actually clearly said, and they say they remained in their cave 309 years. Say Allah knows best. That's 2 entire words that appear in one version of the Quran, Ibn Mas'ud's, that we don't find in today's version. So much for the Quran's perfect preservation. The tafsir also says, some say the 309 was a figure said by the Jews, but Allah just said that He knows and didn't bother to tell the rest of us. While some claim that Allah is in fact telling us that they slept for 309 years. Confusion. I could have sworn there was a verse in there somewhere telling me the Quran's verse were explained in detail. So in the end, we didn't really get any useful information from this story. And despite taking a lot longer to gather his story, it still failed pretty miserably as a response to arguably the biggest challenge for him to prove his prophethood. The chapter then, in typical Quran fashion, starts changing topics a little randomly, initially telling people listening to this story who were clearly still skeptical that they can believe it or disbelieve it, and those who disbelieve it will be thrown to hell with molten brass thrown onto their faces to burn them when they ask for water to quench their thirst. So again, Muhammad needs to resort to threats to terrorize people into the faith. Their gods probably weren't as nasty as Allah, so he's banking on them succumbing to the biggest bully of a god. The chapter then suddenly switches to a couple of unrelated parables before quick references to the Day of Judgment, and then jumping back to the story of Adam's creation in heaven and Satan's rebellion before eventually reaching this verse. And certainly we have explained in this Quran every kind of example, and man is most of all given to contention. Muhammad doesn't seem to enjoy the constant questions and skepticism. He's quoting God as being slightly frustrated with the questions here. You humans and your questions, why can't you be more like plants and animals, just living without questions? So the next part of the challenge was telling them about the soul. Given that the Quran is not arranged in correct chronological order, the response to this question comes in the surah preceding this chapter of the cave. It comes in number 17. Which is commonly referred to as the chapter of the Israelites, verse 85. And they ask you about the soul. Say the soul is one of the commands of my Lord, and you are not given aught of knowledge but a little. Really, Muhammad? This is your answer to the second part of the challenge? What he's basically saying is, oh, you want to know about the soul? Well, God says he's not telling anyone, so there. One more part of this challenge remains. Muhammad has answered the first 2 quite disappointingly. Let's see how he fares with the legend of the man who ruled the entire world without credible historians knowing anything about it. I will leave this for a video all on its own, because, spoiler alert, this man coming up in the next chapter of the cave gets to see exactly where the sun sets here on earth. I will take all the apologist arguments claiming it's not meant literally and set the record straight for anyone with the slightest intellectual honesty to take on board. So await the next video on this chapter soon, the story of Dhul Qarnayn, and in particular his visit to the sun somewhere down the road to the west of the earth. As always, share this video, subscribe and follow me on Twitter and other social media links. Until next time, Inshallah. See, I didn't forget to say that because I wouldn't want any unnecessary delays until the next video. So Inshallah I will see you next time for the video on Dhul Qarnayn and more on this chapter of the cave.